Welcome to VetaHumans Live, a podcast that highlights the role of VetaHumans. VetaHumans are human beings with superpower to protect animal and public health. Another word or synonym for VetaHuman is veterinarian. And today I am so excited to welcome two amazing veterinarian scientists to the show today. We have Dr. Suresh Mittal, or virus fighter, who is a virologist. And we also have Dr. HogenEsch, also known as the VAXINATOR, and he is a professor of immunopathology. So welcome today to both of you. One thing that's so exciting to have both an immunologist and a virologist with us today is to address an issue that's changed so much of our lives so quickly, and that's with COVID-19. So we're lucky to get insight from these two veterinarian scientists on this topic. And two items that we've all had to deal with as this pandemic has progressed, and some of us will have to deal with later on, are masks and vaccines. So we're going to just jump right into it, and we're going to ask Dr. HogenEsch, what's the purpose of a mask and a vaccine in fighting the pandemic?
Well, a vaccine is you take a vaccine and get vaccinated to protect yourself, to build up your immune system and be able to fight off infections, but also to protect others. So when you get infected, the immune system quickly fights off the infection so that the virus won't spread further. A mask is just to protect yourself, right? So it provides a barrier between you and the environment, and it helps to protect yourself. Really, we should think of masks and vaccines as sort of complementary. Especially when we still don't know exactly how long the immunity and protection following vaccination lasts. It's probably a good idea in the current situation to continue to wear masks, especially indoors in crowded environments.
Okay, so great. So even though we may have an opportunity to get vaccinated, we still have to make sure that we're following the rules at school and different activities, particularly if we're inside, and even with the vaccine, to still keep that mask on. All right, well, be sure of that. So Dr. Mittal, can you tell us what exactly is in a vaccine, particularly the new COVID-19 vaccines?
Okay, that's a good question, because different vaccines, what they will have in COVID vaccine, either they can have a gene of the COVID, like in the US, we have the messenger RNA based vaccine. So these vaccines, they have the messenger RNA, which is the building block of a protein. And that protein represents the surface of the virus, and that called spike protein.
Okay.
So once that messenger RNA vaccine is given to a person, then that messenger RNA is going to produce protein in ribosomes in the cells, and that protein will present on the surface of the cells, and our immune system is going to recognize that as a foreign protein and develop antibodies and T cells, and those antibodies and T cells will protect us from that particular disease.
So as your body's developing these antibodies, can you feel that? Can somebody feel your body doing that work?
So the way those things happens, you won't feel it, but the only thing you can feel it, that at the site of the inoculation, when migration of those immune cells are occurring, that site can be a little bit sore in some people, and some of us can also get fever, and knowing that our immune system is working very well. And in some of us, we don't feel that much. That's okay as well, because the immune system is still working.
Okay, great. All of this is really fascinating, and I want for all of our listeners to learn about how you both became experts in this field to be able to not only communicate about the importance of virology and immunology, but how you use your veterinary skill set to further enhance that. So, Dr. Mittal, can you tell us what you do every day and how you ended up on this path?
Okay. So what I do every day when I'm teaching a veterinarian, then I prepare the lectures and considering what is important, what is new information has come up, and how to keep student exciting about the topic I'm going to talk about, and where are the things which will be difficult for them to find ways to make the easier for them to understand. And when I'm not doing the teaching, then majority of the time I spent doing research on making the COVID vaccine better or the next generation of the COVID vaccine. In for that, I talk to my student and other worker in the lab, and listening to their issues and problem doing next experiment, and then thinking about how we can do things better to improve the lives of others. And then when I have other time, then I'm going to read papers or information which has come out so that I can design better experiment, uh, reading the work of others. And then I also review grants for National Institute of Health and other agencies. Then I also review paper for the journal. So I spend a lot of time in that. And even if I'm not doing anything, even if I'm taking my lunch and dinner, I still thinking about the research that how we can do better experiment. So it's overall, it's a 100% effort all the time. Even talking to somebody, you're talking about research. So you live as a veterinarian, you live how you improve the life of animal and human and your fellow citizen.
Wonderful. So you definitely wear many hats. If you're not discovering or teaching, you're taking the time to learn and improve. So thank you for that. Dr. HogenEsch, what do you do every day at work?
Well, yeah, so I became interested in veterinary medicine as a young a young boy. I loved animals, and then in high school, but in high school, I really became more interested in, or came interested in science, and so I looked at veterinary medicine as a career path where I could combine science and my love for animals. And so over the years, I've worked with a variety of animals, from horses and calves to mice and hamsters. And I think one of the exciting things as a veterinarian is that you get to work with a lot of different animals. Like Dr. Mittal, I currently spend a fair amount of time writing. So writing articles, writing book chapters, writing grant proposals to get funding for research. And then a lot of the research that you do is also really a social activity. You interact with students, you interact with colleagues, just put together a grant proposal with collaborators in Seattle and in Atlanta. And so you have a lot of Zoom calls and WebEx meetings with people there to talk about the research, talk how best to design the experiments, and so it's a really exciting and interactive process doing research.
Great. I mean, I think I love that you highlighted that one of the really wonderful aspects of research is that your networking community of scientists is always growing and you're always engaged with them. But while we're talking about excitement in the field, I'm curious from you, Dr. HogenEsch, what do you find to be the most exciting aspect of veterinary medicine? I know that's a pretty big question, but just curious what you find to be overall in the whole field of what you've had a chance to experience, what you find is most exciting to you.
Well, I think the two things. Let me so to highlight two things. One is the experience as a veterinarian that you really become familiar with how animals work essentially. So how the organism works, and you can do that across different species. So as I mentioned, I've worked with large animals like horses and cattle, and then small animals like rodents or dogs and cats. But you have you get that perspective of how animals are very, very similar in how they work, but then there are also unique aspects to each species of animals. And I think that's a fascinating aspect of veterinary medicine. And then what really excites me, of course, as that's the reason for this podcast, is working in vaccines, because vaccines are such a great tool to combat and control infectious diseases. And so the ability to make contributions to new vaccines, to improve vaccines, is just a very exciting aspect. And again, that goes across different species.
Great, thank you. Dr. Mittal, what about you? What do you find to be one of the more exciting aspects of our field?
So the exciting aspect is that I did not know when I was a child that animal and human, they have very, very similar diseases. And from those diseases, we can learn from each other aspect that how animal disease can help us doing better for human, and the same way some human disease, how they can we can learn better for animal. For example, the smallpox, that was a dreadful disease, and I think many of our listeners, they may not know about this disease at all. That was eradicated, smallpox. And when it was eradicated, the vaccine that was used, that was a cowpox virus, a virus from cattle that was being used for eradication of one of the human dreadful disease. So how they complement each other, that's a wonderful aspect. The other thing I came to know as I become infectious disease learner, that majority of the newer diseases or infectious disease, they are coming from animal. So we have to be very, very vigilant that how we do well with wild animal, especially not destroying their habitat, so that human contact with wild animal is become less and less, so that we don't get these newer disease. So that's another fascinating aspect to know that wild animals, they contribute to many of these new disease. And in some way, this coronavirus pandemic, it seems like that it might have started from wildlife first and then to human.
All right, very interesting perspective from both of you. One thing, oftentimes when as scientists or even students, or people in the community get a chance to speak with experts like yourselves, you often don't hear about aspects of the journey that might have been a challenge. And for everyone listening, everyone aspires to some aspect of veterinary medicine or maybe even in science. But Dr. HogenEsch, would you be willing to share a challenge that you might have encountered early in your career or maybe even recently, and how you conquered it? And I mean, many of our challenges, of course, are part of the journey. Some of us lead us on the same path, and sometimes that path may change.
Yes, thank you. Well, when I was finishing up my studies in veterinary medicine, this was back in the Netherlands, I knew I wanted to become a pathologist, and I talked to my professors there and asked them what would be the next step. And they said, well, the best thing you can do is to get a training position in the US or Canada. And so I applied to 7 or 8, I think, different institutions in the US and Canada, and got rejection letters from all of them. They had no openings or didn't think that they would take somebody from Europe at the time. But then, and I sort of had settled on, okay, I'll move my career somewhere else. And then saw an advertisement for an opening for a pathology training position at the University of Illinois. And decided to try it one more time, and that's when the department head there at the time responded and accepted me in that program. And so one of the messages is just not to give up and persist. And there are openings for and paths to pursue your dreams.
Wonderful. Thank you. What about you, Dr. Mittal? Can you tell us about a challenge and how you used that experience to navigate your journey to where you are today?
So I agree with Dr. HogenEsch that you have to have the passion, and the failure are part of life. And whenever you are selecting your career, there are going to be some failure, but you don't, you can say, lose faith in yourself and your journey. And if you work hard and keep pursuing your passion, you will be there. So for example, after doing my veterinary degree, I wanted to pursue master degree, and I cannot afford without any fellowship. So over there in India, there used to be a national exam. You appear in that exam, and they will select X number of students for master. And I appear in that exam, and luckily got selected, and I got the fellowship so that I can pursue my master degree. Like Dr. HogenEsch, I also wanted to come out of India to get experience outside India. And then I applied to few places in the US, but at the same time, there was a huge opportunity to apply for the University of Cambridge because in India, they were providing about 10 fellowship. And I would consider those fellowship was similar to the Rhodes Scholar over here. So I wrote whatever I could wrote and thought, okay, I'll just give it a try. I did my best and forgot about it because the whole process will take time. And one time at that time, there was telegraph. That is an obsolete term. I think our majority of our viewer has no clue what it is.
That's right.
So that was the fastest way of communicating person so that the message can reach to the persons in hours.
Okay.
And hours was pretty fast.
Yeah.
And the message used to be very short. So I got the message that congratulations, you are selected for Cambridge Nehru Fellowship. And it took me few minutes to realize what it is. Did I apply? When did I apply? And what does it mean, or it's a real thing? And so I got selected where I had very little chance in my perception. But since I tried about it, and if I haven't tried, I would not have got that fellowship. So I went to Cambridge, did my PhD, and moved on to Canada initially, and then finally came to Purdue. And that Purdue, I'm still there after 25 years or so. So main thing is working hard, believing in yourself, and not giving up.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for that. So, as we wrap up here, our conversation, I want to end with the VetaHumans podcast game, which is called Capes Off. And the key here is just that VetaHumans are people too. So, I want to ask you guys some fun questions, and just so you can share just a little bit about yourselves outside of the lab and outside of research. That make you who you are as VetaHumans and as humans. So, Dr. Mittal, what's your favorite food?
My favorite food is majority of time is Indian food. I would say that the best I like, and the second food I would say would be I would say the Mexican food.
Okay. Dr. HogenEsch, winter or summer?
Winter.
Okay. Dr. Mittal, favorite animal?
Favorite animal I will say cow, because when I was growing up, uh, cow I always considered as a pet, and my cow was such an intelligent. If I give a call, if it is in some field, as soon as she will listen, she will come back.
Okay.
So, and it was so affectionate that whenever I'm in pain, I can see tears in her eye. So the bond was so strong. And one you can say incidents I will give you, that one time she did not came back home for 7 days, and every time I'm going to the rooftop and calling by her name, and she was not coming. So one day after 7 days, when I was calling from the rooftop, she came after 1 hour, and
Okay.
she has a broken leg. She hasn't eaten for 6 days. So
Wow.
she came back home on 3 feet, and we repaired that leg, and that cow was with us for next 20 year or so. So I was very fond of cows.
Okay. Dr. HogenEsch, what's your favorite year in school? Of all
Favorite
of the
year?
years you were in school, I know there were plenty. You have too many to choose from.
Yeah, I think my senior year in vet school, where we did clinical rotations. Even though I am in now doing research, and I'm not in the clinics, but I really enjoyed that exposure where we I got to do some surgery. I got to treat animals, and it was a wonderful experience.
Great. Dr. Mittal, what do you do for fun?
For fun, I meet my friends on regular basis, and walk in the neighborhood, and watch some movies, and pursue sports.
Okay. What about you, Dr. HogenEsch? What do you do for fun?
I walk my dog, I work out, and I enjoy photography.
Oh,
Okay. Well, excellent. Well, thank you both to Dr. Suresh Mittal, the virus fighter, and Dr. Harm HogenEsch, the vaccinator, for teaching us today about the importance of virology and immunology and veterinary medicine. And look forward to speaking with you all again on the next episode. Thank you.